ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Before I call the roll, I would like to note for the record that 2 supervisors are participating via teleconference. As such, all votes will be handled by a roll call vote. Additionally, before we begin, any members of the public that wish to provide oral testimony by phone during today's meeting, please review the instructions posted on the Clerk of the Board's webpage. With that, I will call the roll and also note that Supervisor Lawson-Reamer will be absent from this morning's session. With that, Supervisor Anderson?
Here.
Supervisor Desmond?
Here.
Vice Chair Vargas?
Vargas here.
Chair Fletcher?
Fletcher here. We will now begin with the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation will be delivered by Dr. Beth Johnson at Palomar Fellowship. Thank you for joining us, and will you please stand?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm glad to be able to join you today from North County, the land of the Luiseño and Kumeyaay people. I begin by acknowledging and honoring the people of these tribal lands of our county. And as we begin, I would like to invite you to breathe with me. Beginning our time together, breathing in and being present in this time and in the various places we gather from. Remembering that the breath connects us to all that ever was and all that will ever be. Spirit of life, spirit of love, spirit of beloved community, you are as close as our breath. You are our breath, Ruha, Numa. Coming through a time when the breath has been stolen, breathing in, we remember our connection to you, to one another, to the preciousness of all life, and we give thanks for this life and for all who work to heal, preserve, and uplift it. We gather to be of use in service to our community. Be with the supervisors and all gathered today, guiding them in their work for the common good. Keep within the heart of each one here and all who will engage a love for the poor, the oppressed, the sick, the forgotten, the neglected, and all those in need. Inspire in all a dedication to the cause of justice, liberation, and the welfare of life, upholding the inherent worth and dignity of all people. Keep before us the principles of justice, equity, and compassion. In this month of pride and always may we celebrate the diversities of all of our communities. For these multi-hued threads strengthen the web of interconnection and interdependence and makes our community truly beloved. Spirit of life, spirit of love. With each breath, may each here be reminded of your presence, your power, wisdom, and grace, inspiring vision, bold, creative action, as together, we build the beloved community. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. It'll be delivered by Alice Sproul's 4th and 5th grade class at Laurel Elementary School in Oceanside. Thank you to our students for joining us. And we invite you to lead us in the pledge.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Please stand. Hands on your hearts. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the great republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you to our students for joining us today. We will now proceed with our proclamations. We have 2 proclamations this morning. The first one will be delivered by Vice Chair Nora Vargas and myself. And then the second one will recognize the San Diego Rapid Response Network. So we will proceed with honoring our first 5 commission first, and then the second one. Good morning. Today we honor the first 5 commission of San Diego County, which leads the community in promoting vital importance of the first 5 years of life for the well-being of children, families, and society. I'm honored to be the chair of the First Five Commission. And we know, and research has backed this up time and again, that a child's experience during the first 5 years of life lay the foundation for their future, providing children ages 0 to 5 with consistent language-rich experiences such as talking, reading, and singing can have significant benefits and help them thrive and become successful in all of their future endeavors. Talk, Read, Sing programs and the resources are designed to educate and support teachers, parents, and caregivers in this critical role during the child's first 5 years to help them receive the very best possible start. And it's my honor to join Vice Chair Vargas in recognizing First Five in this important program this morning, and I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Vargas.
Good morning, buenos dias. Thank you, Chair Fletcher. The Talk, Read, Sing campaign promotes at-home activities that encourage talking, reading, and singing through activity sheets, activity kits, free books, free musical instruments, tips and resources, and partnerships with other organizations. The Little Libraries initiatives I launched at the county also aims to promote reading, improve comprehensive and critical thinking, and increase access for underserved children. Similarly, the Talk, Read, Sing campaign outreaches to underserved San Diego community women and caregivers with one child in the home under the age of 5 through the First Five San Diego website, social media channels, earned media, purchase media, local events, and community partnerships. June 8th is Talk, Read, Sing Day, and on behalf of Chair Fletcher, myself, and the entire Board of Supervisors, I am so proud to declare that today, June 8th, Talk, Read, Sing Day throughout San Diego County. I promise not to sing, though. You would all be in a lot of trouble. But this is a wonderful opportunity for us at the Board of Supervisors to recognize the vital importance of the first 5 years of life, not only for the well-being of our children, but for their families and all of society. Here to accept the proclamation and to share a couple of words is Shana Hassan from the First Five Commissioner. And then I also want to welcome Alicia Arguiles, who is our director. Thank you.
Good morning. As a First Five California Commissioner and the mom of a 3-year-old who has seen firsthand the difference talking, reading, and singing can make in a young child's life, I am delighted to be here to celebrate San Diego County's first annual Talk, Read, Sing Day and encourage families across our county to incorporate these joyful and impactful activities into their daily routines. Talking, reading, and singing to babies and young children, starting from the day they're born, makes a tremendous difference when it comes to their learning today and long into the future. These simple actions allow parents and caregivers to develop strong bonds with their little ones and build their social and emotional well-being. Research shows that over the long term, talking, reading, and singing is associated with children who are better prepared for school and life and able to reach their full potential. Thank you for creating this day today.
Oh, wonderful. I get a moment at the mic. So I am really excited about Talk, Read, Sing Day because we not only are promoting our own First Five Commission campaign, but we're partnering with our county libraries. So at all 33 locations, starting today, you can either join virtually or in person and download or access your free book kit and start reading with your little ones today. I love that we're reinforcing the beautiful foundations of early learning. Brain science tells us by age 5, 90% of your child's brain will be developed. Imagine how important that is. So it's about future learning and future life success. So thank you to Chair Fletcher and Vice Chair Vargas for your support and making this day happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more, please. 2.
All right, thank you. Our next proclamation this morning is to recognize the San Diego Rapid Response Network for their humanitarian efforts, assisting immigrants across our border. The San Diego Rapid Response Network is a coalition of human rights, service and faith organizations, attorneys, civic leaders, and volunteers that monitor immigration enforcement activities in San Diego County and help assist with humanitarian issues. San Diego Rapid Response Network's core partners include the ACLU Foundation of San Diego and Imperial County, Jewish Family Services of San Diego, SEIU Local 221, and the San Diego Organizing Project, and they all are committed to ensuring that no one stands alone in our community. In 2018, the organizations that make up this network showed tremendous leadership and compassion. At the time, the federal government left families with young children on the streets of San Diego, and these organizations stepped up to do heroic work literally overnight, confronting and dealing with what at times was an overwhelming situation that was compounding in complexity on a daily basis. And through it all, they managed to make it work, finding safe locations, food, water, clothing, access to medical support, helping connect these families to their sponsors. They worked and continued to provide emergency respite shelter and other humanitarian work and aid for these asylum seekers. And it was our honor to join in those efforts to help support the incredible work that they were doing as a county with our location. And to watch the work take place in that building and continue, and watch the thousands of individuals who I believe saw the very best of America when they showed up at that location, where they were shown compassion, empathy, love, appreciation, recognition for their value and their dignity. And so all of the work that this organization does and continues to do on a daily basis to this day, confronting the challenges we have in our region of ensuring that we provide for the least among us, and we continue to represent that spirit and face of our country that we want folks to see. And so we're thrilled as a county to continue to move forward and to be in even better positions to work with you and assist you, but recognizing the foundational nature of this group of folks and this coalition and the work that for so many years has gone on, often without the help and support you need. I just want you all to know as chair that we really appreciate tremendously all the work that you've done and the work that we will do as we move forward together. And so it's my honor today on behalf of the board to proclaim this 8th day of June 2021 that we commend the San Diego Rapid Response Network for outstanding leadership and commitment to welcoming and assisting immigrants and asylum seekers to San Diego County, and do hereby declare this day to be San Diego Rapid Response Network Day throughout San Diego County. In accepting this proclamation, we have Father Neil Pepe Wilkinson with the San Diego Organizing Project, Kate Clark with Jewish Family Services, along with leaders from the other organizations associated. And so we invite you to the mic.
Thank you. It's been a privilege and a joy to accompany, to welcome the stranger to our midst. And what we're doing, we understand from a faith perspective, we're simply following Jesus' instructions to welcome the stranger because Jesus is hidden in the stranger and the least among us. So we're grateful for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for this recognition.
Thank you to Chair Fletcher and Vice Chair Vargas and the County Board of Supervisors for your continued leadership and helping make this county a more welcoming place for men, women, and children who have fought through countless horrors to seek safety and protection in the United States. I am humbled and truly honored to be here today to accept this proclamation recognizing the San Diego Rapid Response Network alongside my partners in justice who have fought tirelessly over the last 4 years as we stood up the San Diego Rapid Response Network. I am here representing Jewish Family Service of San Diego, and am joined today with David Garcias representing SEIU Local 221, Denora Reyna and Father Pepe representing the San Diego Organizing Project, and Norma Chavez Peterson representing the ACLU of San Diego and Imperial Counties. Together, as core partners of the San Diego Rapid Response Network, we share this recognition with our staff, volunteers, and donors who continue to support our ongoing work. Since 2017, the San Diego Rapid Response Network has dedicated to assisting with the urgent needs of immigrants and their families by advocating for their safety, providing for emergency assistance, and coordinating critical pro bono representation to defend against family separation and unjust deportations. When in October of 2018, federal immigration authorities began releasing dozens of families on our streets of San Diego with no resources or shelter, we stood up and defended against that by providing critical beds, food, clothing, health services, legal aid, and airplane and bus tickets. And over the last 2.5 years, we've served over 30,000 individuals in partnership with the County of San Diego. Today, the San Diego Rapid Response Network stands ready to support asylum seekers and immigrants in our community as any federal policies, changes, or the needs arise. Together with the creation of the San Diego's own Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, if it passes today, which we of course hope it will, we can stand to ensure that no one stands alone in our community. Thank you again.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Norma, Dinora, David. Thank you all for everything, and come get your proclamation. Come on. I know. Come on.
Can you back up a little bit further so that we all fit right there? Okay. Here we go. Can you back up a little bit? Wonderful. 1, 2. Can you go on this way? 1, 2, 3.
Next on the agenda is non-agenda public communication. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. The only action we as a board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. A reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for comments. At this point, I'll ask the clerk to please call forward our public speakers today.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 23 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda. Any members of the public that have requested to speak during non-agenda public communication, I will call you forward in groups of 5, so please listen for your name. For those that requested to speak via phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. As a reminder for the callers, if you requested to speak on a specific agenda item, please hang up and call back when the board begins discussion of that item. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. When I call your name, please line up on the physical distancing stickers in the hallway outside the board chamber on the 3rd floor. If you're in the chamber, I'll ask you to please exit out the rear of the chamber and then line up in the hallway. So I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: John Moore, Sandra Martinez, Maria Wellner, Eli Comey, and Laura Douglas. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. We'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. And you may come forward in any order. Again, you may come forward in any order. That's John Moore, Sandra Martinez, Maria Wellner, Eli Comey, and Laura Douglas. If you're in line, you can go ahead and come on in the chamber.
Thank you, members of the Board of Supervisors, for this opportunity to express my in favor of hydroxychloroquine and also ivermectin. Coercion through the use of force for loss of employment for failure to take an experimental medical procedure is in violation of the Nuremberg Code.
Sir, I'm going to pause your time. If you could state your name for the audio record.
John Moore.
Thank you.
San Diego resident. Thank you. Used to convict Nazi and medical personnel after World War II. I remind the board that all of the several COVID vaccines out there right now are labeled experimental by U.S. authorities. Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are not experimental, but have decades of safe and effective use without killing patients. Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are taken orally, not injected into the bloodstream. They are not vaccines. Death within hours or days of COVID-19 experimental vaccines injections far exceed that in the historical record for non-experimental vaccines. There are numerous licensed physicians in Southern California who actively prescribe hydroxychloroquine for patients diagnosed with COVID-19. Hydrochloroquine and ivermectin should be promoted as widely as possible and certainly as widely as the more deadly experimental vaccines. Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin should be added to the acceptable remedies for COVID-19 in San Diego and California. Patient medical diagnoses should be kept private. COVID-19 is no exception to that rule. We must respect the right to privacy regarding COVID-19, just as it is with STDs, cancer, and other serious diseases. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Sir, if you'll exit out the rear of the chamber. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please.
Hello. I'm Sandra Martinez. And as was so aptly stated in today's invocation, our breath has been stolen. Why is anybody in California being required to wear a mask? We know they don't work. In early 2020, people realized that information from the government and media about COVID was mostly lies. Now it's out in the open. You can't hide from the fact that Fauci, in collaboration with politicians, bureaucrats, and the media, hid the truth. The entire slogan for this emergency health measures has been follow the science. The reality is you totally ignored the science. I will read to you what Fauci said 16 months ago in an email, and I quote, "Masks are really for infected people to prevent them from spreading infection to people who are not infected, rather than protecting uninfected people from acquiring infection." Did you hear that? Masks don't protect healthy people. Fauci goes on to say, the typical mask you buy in a drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus, which is small enough to pass through the material. Did you get that? The virus passes through the fabric. Masks don't stop viruses. Fauci's unscientific flip-flopping for the last year is a well-known psychological tactic used to create confusion and fear. Masks also create confusion and fear, as well as create disease, destroy critical thinking, dehumanize the spirit, and dominate and divide people. Masks are effective at destroying life and free will. Zero science has been followed. I ask again, why are any Californians still mandated to wear masks anywhere? I ask you, what is the real reason? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, good morning. Eli Comey, resident, District 1. Thanks for having us this morning. Thank you for reopening to have us in person. Now we can look at each other and talk to each other in high definition. It's really nice to be able to see all the lines etched in your face through all the public service and all the good work that you've been doing and making sure that San Diego County is probably one of the best counties out there. I wanted to bring your attention to a course of action that can not only curry favor with residents, but also strengthen the tax base of San Diego County. That's right, that means more tax revenue, more horsepower for the county to continue doing great work. First, I would like to hear if there's two-way communication possible here from this board about what your plans are for COVID now and in the next few months.
This is an opportunity for members of the public to provide testimony to the board. The only action the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer.
Okay, thank you. I just want to wrap up by saying that you're great statespeople and that you're professional and you're diligent in your duties. I encourage you to continue to be professional and be diligent when it comes to supporting and representing us, members of the public, residents of San Diego County. I believe that the steps to rebuild the tax base is to call off or otherwise ignore any emergencies foisted upon us from Sacramento or DC. But really, you don't have to listen to what Sacramento is saying. You don't have to march to their drumbeat. You can call your own shots here in the county. You have the ability to do that. And I also encourage you to slowly remove any of the restrictions that you've placed on private businesses. Please, we need a free economy. We need the free market. That's the ultimate stimulus. Let people go back to work. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Maria Wellner, RN BSN, 16-year critical care nurse. As a member of Reopen San Diego and a resident of San Diego County, I would ask that every board member look me in the eye while I'm speaking to them. Thank you. We ask this board to take an emergency vote today and open San Diego County without restrictions of local businesses and cease and desist on the public health emergency orders that are neither based in science or data and deemed as unlawful, unconstitutional measures against its citizens. Article 1, Section 3 of the California Constitution states, the people that you claim to represent, have the right to instruct their representatives, petition government for redress of grievances, and assemble freely to consult for the common good. Grievance 1, the unconstitutional restrictions placed on local businesses within San Diego County through expired state emergency orders, which the governor is being sued for right now. This restricting local businesses from operating at full capacity and form and function, thus allowing optimal benefits to San Diego business owners. Grievance 2, adoption of masks as policy for school and workplaces without any regard for religion, medical condition, mental health, low income accessibility. This board needs to make a public statement that there is no law in California that requires anyone to wear a mask, and that the only person qualified to advise that a mask is safe for a child or employee is a personal medical professional. Number 3, lack of action to restrain the governor and state agencies that have violated our constitutional rights. Number 4, accepting and continuing to accept state and federal public health emergency funds, further enslaving San Diego County residents to unlawful state and federal COVID-19 mandates. Number 5, using taxpayer dollars in this county to distribute and propagate an experimental gene-modifying therapy on its citizens without proper safety and efficacy monitoring systems in place, and education of healthcare professionals to ask and recognize adverse injection reactions to accurately collect raw data on these injections. Number 6, using taxpayer dollars to distribute and propagate this injection on San Diego adolescents aged 12 to 15 with no regard for a cost-benefit analysis or other therapeutic agents or their long-term health, including autoimmune, mental health, and fertility.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Laura Douglas. Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. We'll be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You will hear a notification that your call has been... We'll go to the individuals that request to speak by phone. For those individuals that have dialed in, you'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted. You will then need to press *6 to unmute your line. Each caller will be asked to state their name for the audio record, and again, you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll remind the public speakers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And if you could please identify our first caller.
Our first caller is 3800. 3800. Please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, my name is Barbara Gordon, and as the adult advisor for a Hispanic youth group, I appreciate the county's leadership on tackling the vaping crisis, as stated by Supervisor Fletcher's. Vape of any product is harmful to our lungs. I said, with my concern for the well-being of my young people, I am confused why the county would vote to ban flavored nicotine that you vape, but not be concerned or understand or being naive that vaping marijuana is the most common method of use. Vaping marijuana delivers a more potent form of marijuana through vaporized concentrates, which can contain as much as 99% THC. In San Diego, marijuana vape cartridges are the most popular product sold at these businesses. According to Monitoring the Future 2019, young people use more potent marijuana more often. Young people report vaping marijuana is in an increasingly large number since it was first reported in 2017. Marijuana is often the first drug our youth try, and it's often not the last, which can lead to more addiction. Due to the normalization of marijuana, the county's framework for our future should be focused on educating our teens regarding the harmful effects of marijuana use and not promoting an industry that is identical to big tobacco, that it needs to addict its customers to increase their bottom line. I know of no Hispanic family that would want or support a marijuana business in their community. I respectfully request the Board of Supervisors to reconsider how the marijuana industry is influencing their decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 7613. 7613. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning. My name is Becky Rat. I'm a mother and a public health educator here to speak regarding my deep concerns over the potential marijuana ordinance eventually coming to the Board of Supervisors. I'm an attendee of the Ramona Planning Group and recently participated in a meeting when county staff presented details of the ordinance to planning group members. During the presentation, I was shocked when staff suggested the idea that by increasing and permitting more legal marijuana outlets, grows, and manufacturers, the county would directly combat the illegal market. This idea of increasing the legal market to decrease the illegal market is seriously flawed. Ramona is home to 3 of the legally permitted marijuana outlets in the unincorporated area of the county. When community members were asked what the illegal market looked like now in Ramona 5 years later, they stated it's alive and well. In fact, it's thriving. Just last month, $3.3 million worth of marijuana was seized at an illegal marijuana farm in Ramona. Ramona is not safer because of legal marijuana outlets. In fact, it has only opened the door, allowing the illegal market to flourish. I strongly believe the only way to combat the illegal market is to shut down all marijuana businesses. Cities such as Escondido and San Marcos, who have banned all marijuana businesses, have seen little or no illegal pot shops. These cities have proven they can combat the illegal market. Today, I ask you to consider the real negative effects the marijuana industry has on our community and neighborhoods. No one is asking for more pot in San Diego, only the industry itself, those who profit substantially. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 1048. 1048. Please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, my name is Shane Duffy. I'm a student at the University of San Diego, and I grew up in Julian my whole life, which is in the unincorporated area. I just want to speak on behalf of just kind of young people and students as well, kind of give my perspective as a college student, kind of growing up as this becomes more normalized. I think that this topic and this issue is something that has grown and gotten worse and continues to get worse. And allowing these dispensaries to come up in the unincorporated area feels like selling us out. Feels like really, really not helping our young people. And I've seen my peers be affected by this, lose motivation, drop out of college, and really get affected by this. And I think that if they do open up, then there'll be more access and more young people will use, and we'll lose more young people to this issue and to this problem. And so please don't allow this, and please don't consider opening up more dispensaries in our unincorporated areas. As a young person, I really think that this will continue to get worse, and I really feel that this will only hurt the problem. And please consider not allowing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 7159. 7159, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Mark Wilcox. As a father, grandfather, and youth leader, I wanted to share with you the latest developments in the marijuana products, look-alike THC treats that indiscernibly resemble popular candies like Skittles. William Wrigley Jr. Company, owned by Mars Inc., filed suit in May against 5 marijuana companies, 2 of which are in California, for selling cannabis-infused edibles that look like Skittles, Starburst, and Lifesavers. Let that sink in for a moment. Though the suit focuses on intellectual property rights, the plaintiffs also argue that the copycat pot products could lead people, particularly children, to mistakenly ingest drugs or equate very dangerous marijuana products with an innocuous treat. And that is no mistake. The accessibility of edibles and the secrecy they afford have made them the fastest growing category in marijuana products, according to a cannabis data analytics company, who estimate that edibles have outpaced the growth of the rest of the cannabis market by 29% in the last 3 months. The public health concerns at stake are huge and bring to mind the nefarious marketing techniques of the tobacco industry, who used cartoons to target children. Mars Wrigley Company wrote, quote, "They strongly condemn the use of popular candy brands in the marketing and sale of THC products, which is grossly deceptive and irresponsible. The use of Mars Wrigley's brands in this manner is unauthorized, inappropriate, and must cease," end quote. Our county should not enable these duplicitous practices by expanding the number of pot shops beyond the 5 already permitted, and a code enforcement investigation would be in order for the already existing storefronts. Adults can choose for themselves. It's up to us to protect our children from the marijuana industry's sinister designs. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 6921. 6921. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning. My name is Jason Hochberg. I rise today to speak for the children of San Diego. I rise to speak for the unemployed that were sent home before Christmas cruelly by San Diego, knowing that the California Unemployment Agency, the EDD, was not functioning and could not pay them. I rise to speak for the dead, namely the 134 children in California who committed suicide during lockdowns, a 24% increase. I rise to speak for the dead, namely those that died in San Diego from opioid overdoses during lockdown, a nearly 100% increase in 2020. This board, anchored by Nathan Fletcher as the point person on COVID, has unleashed the greatest wave of suffering on our most valuable, vulnerable, our children, in the shortest period of time since World War II, with your support of lockdowns, shutdowns, and the tier system. Sadly and tragically, as Florida and other states have proved, almost all of this was unnecessary. You were warned that this would be the case. When are you going to address the elephant in the room about what was done? I request that the board reports back to the people of San Diego in 30 days on the topic of whether the harm you have done to our businesses and our children for God's sakes, you help put children born in San Diego at a major disadvantage for the rest of their lives than children in Florida. That's what you've done. In any event, report back to us as to whether the health measures implemented here were justified and successful, given all the damage when compared to Florida. You owe the citizens of this county an accounting for these devastating, and I repeat, devastating policies. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 5033. 5033, please press *6 to unmute.
Gretchen Gohl with Reopen San Diego. I'm standing outside the county administration building right now to call in because you will not allow people in the building without a mask, a face shield, or a temperature check. I can go mask-free and face shield-free anywhere else in San Diego except the Board of Supervisors meeting. Why is that? There is no mask mandate. There has never been one. You are upholding a guidance letter, which is not mandate or law. And what data do you have that supports the ongoing daily use of face coverings for over 1 year now? The answer is none. 2 minutes is not enough time for me to go through the list of studies that show masks are ineffective and harmful in the general public setting. Masks do not work. No one should be wearing masks, especially not children. The mask is a leftover from the lockdowns. It's nothing more than a reminder that we were lied to and treated like muzzled animals. We are done with them. We, the people, have the right to choose whether we should wear a mask or not. And those who choose a mask should wear one that provides individual protection. Everyone needs to take personal responsibility for their own individual health. That is how we get out of any public health crisis. I will continue to speak outside the county building on the Board of Supervisor meeting until you allow us in without face coverings and temperature checks. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 6869. 6869, please press *6 to unmute. 6869, please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, my name is William Perno, and my comments are on potential future marijuana regulations. There should be restrictions on marijuana licenses so they are not automatically transferred. This provides an opportunity to impede gaming of the equity applicant system and issuance of a permit to an equity applicant who then sells that permit to a non-equity applicant. It is important to expressly state that there is no inherent right to transfer permits. For equity applicants and a weighted point system, do you give preferences to an equity applicant that has not engaged in illicit sales of marijuana over a person who has done illicit sales? Do you give preference to an applicant who engaged in illicit sales years ago compared to an applicant who is currently or who recently engaged in illicit sales? For marijuana outlet locations, will you take steps to make sure marijuana outlets are not concentrated in locations where there are currently over-concentrations of alcohol and tobacco outlets or in identified high crime areas? Will you ensure there is a community approval process for applicants and locations? For tax revenues, there's a need for local marijuana tax revenues to be used to support other types of job creation and training outside of the marijuana industry. These are training opportunities where state revenues from marijuana sales cannot be used per limitations under Proposition 64. Compliance checks. We have a minimum number of required compliance checks each year, including ongoing minor decoy operations, to ensure marijuana sales are not made to youth at storefronts or during vehicle deliveries. Marijuana is the #1 drug of choice for youth and county-funded drug treatment programs. There is a need for prevention and education regarding marijuana harms, especially for youth and brain development. More can be learned at the Public Health Institute and getting it right from the start in their model ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 1822. 1822, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Supervisors. This is Peggy Walker. I came today to ask a question. If you could have foreseen what would happen with tobacco, the illness and death, would you have stopped it? If you could have foreseen the opioid epidemic, would you have stopped it? You are caring people, and I think your answer would be yes, and so I have to ask. With science-based evidence demonstrating we're on a path to the same kinds of disaster with marijuana, with physicians pleading for a pushback, why do you, even those who admit to addiction struggles of your own, continue to promote marijuana? I cannot be there tomorrow when you address so-called social equity, but I refer you to a minority leader, Ron Rice, a Black Caucus chair, who called social justice a big cover to sell more marijuana. Beyond being a bad idea, it's trickery, he said. More marijuana on the streets will set us, the minority community, back. Another spokesman from the NAACP, Teresa Haley, said, people of color will be disproportionately affected by social equity. It means more addiction without resources to deal with it. It doesn't make sense that people who committed crimes should have opportunity to go back to their communities to increase drug availability. What about the victims? Victims, not perpetrators, should be your policy-making priority. These concerns are backed by a new CDC study that shows whites had a 7% increase, Black youth a 9% increase, and Hispanics an 11% increase in vaping marijuana over the past 3 years. The fact is, all kids have friends over 21 to buy marijuana for them, like those former drug dealers who are now excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 6598. 6598. Please press *6 to unmute. 6598. Please press *6 to unmute. We'll come back. Our next speaker is 5537. 5537. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning. Hello, Chair and Board of Supervisors. My name is Casey Stang. I'm the Executive Director with the San Marcos Prevention Coalition. We're a coalition working to prevent youth substance use. This board has directed staff to work on an ordinance which would allow marijuana stores, marijuana grow sites, and marijuana manufacturing facilities in the unincorporated area. There are a couple of issues that our coalition would like to point out, and they surround the issue of a lack of public health and safety safeguards. What we found out is that the state's Bureau of Cannabis Control, the BCC, is not doing any minor decoy operations for marijuana delivery services, meaning nobody is checking to see if marijuana businesses are asking for IDs when delivering marijuana. The state's Alcoholic Beverage Control, the ABC, has done 9 statewide minor decoy operations on alcohol deliveries in the past 12 months. The first set of these operations found an 80% sell rate of minors. But marijuana delivery services operate totally unchecked. The Bureau of Cannabis Control and local law enforcement are not doing compliance checks on delivery services. This is very concerning as we try to prevent youth access to today's highly potent marijuana products that can cause severe mental health disorders like depression, psychosis, and even suicide. The second concern we'd like to bring to your attention is that there are daily marijuana purchase limits. This is important because for those teenagers who have gotten a marijuana recommendation to smoke marijuana under the guise of medicine by merely Skyping online, there is a daily purchase limit. But who is enforcing this? With the county's 5 marijuana businesses that they have permitted, is there a system in place that tracks the purchase amounts? Does it effectively monitor the daily purchase amounts to limit youth access to today's highly potent marijuana products? Perhaps a staff report would be helpful. This is an important public health and safety safeguard, so our teens aren't allowed unfettered access to marijuana from the county's permitted businesses.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is 9887. 9887. Please press *6 to unmute. 9887.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Carol Green, and I've spoken to you before. Over the past few months, I've shared my very personal and painful experience of my son's experiencing psychosis as a result of his marijuana use. Interesting that I come right after the last caller. Couldn't agree more with his statements. I've watched staff PowerPoints, the County Board of Supervisors staff PowerPoints at planning commissions. And after I've shared my story there, I've been assured by these staffers that this new implementation will solve all of these problems, that there would be checks in place, that there would be ways to make sure that only people that were the correct age and and safety measures would be in place. And then I turned to the BCC and said, okay, well, the County of San Diego staff people say that once it's regulated, there are these checks in place. And the BCC says, absolutely not. There are no compliance checks in place. They haven't even developed the plan to do it. They're just now starting to have a plan, but they even say in their own meetings they don't have enough officers for enforcement. And so the Bureau of Cannabis Control, which is what the county looks to say that they will be controlling and regulating, they say absolutely not. They don't even have the manpower, nor do they have the policies in place to do this. So there isn't compliance checks. There aren't ways that they're checking ages. There aren't checks on delivery systems. There aren't checks on locations and signage, et cetera, that we're told there will be checks on. So either the Board of Supervisors is misinformed about this information, or you are purposely trying to misinform the constituents and the members of San Diego County. So please either inform yourself and be correct, or stop misinforming the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 6598. 6598, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Supervisors. Ann Riddle here. I'd like to share some what I hope is good news for those of us who've been concerned about the high potency of marijuana products affecting our young people. The state of Colorado has recognized the mental health crisis that's been going on with teens and young adults regarding their use of marijuana concentrates that have led to devastating mental health effects, sometimes suicide. They just passed H.R. 21-1317, both the House and the Senate, headed to the governor, who's expected to sign. Its focus is directly on collecting the information they need regarding marijuana-related admissions to the hospital that have ended tragically in suicide, overdose, and accidental death, and to put them into a violent death reporting system so that we can begin to know more thoroughly the range of this problem. And they're going to analyze the research that is coming out rapidly regarding the physical and mental health effects related to these high-potency products. They're going to limit the amount of marijuana concentrates that can be bought each day and that can be packaged. And they're going to put more protections in place for that very vulnerable range of 18 to 21 who can still buy Metapot from marijuana storefronts. Unfortunately, the reason why all of this is necessary, besides the escalating loss of life among our young people due to their marijuana consumption and the exasperated mental health outcomes, is that marijuana is a predatory industry, just as is alcohol and is tobacco. And if they can increase the alcohol percentage, and if they can increase the nicotine content, and now if they can increase the THC concentrates in marijuana products, well, that just ensures more addiction and that creates more sales. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 0680. 0680. Please press *6 to unmute.
Hi, this is Tegan Mclean. I vote in Nathan Fletcher's district. I put a lot of thought into this, so are you ready? Are you listening? Nathan Fletcher, in a press conference, you said businesses can ask customers for proof of vaccination. I'm inviting you to take that back. That was a mistake. That would violate our rights to privacy. Our personal medical information is confidential. Barring someone from entering it based on vaccination status violates our civil rights. Store employees don't want to be doing this. Nathan Fletcher and the rest of my fellow Americans on the board, my fellow human beings, what do you stand for? Is discrimination and segregation what you stand for? Is that what you want in our community? We won't have it. We're done with the masks. We're done with the bullying. Do you realize you're making California a place that people want to escape? Let's join the rest of the country in coming to our senses and living life to the fullest, freely breathing fresh air and smiling at each other. Are you up for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 4592. 4592. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Supervisors. Kathleen Lippert here. We have friends and relatives who live in unincorporated communities and sit on county planning groups. I support them. They know the priorities that they shared with county staff regarding marijuana compatibility and impacts to residents, businesses, sensitive uses, water, and energy resources are no longer your priority. Your proposal to allow the availability, use, access, and promotion of highly potent and addictive marijuana products is not about serving them. It won't improve road safety, provide better access to health care, job training, educational opportunities, or achieve their human potential. It's a Faustian bargain with a wealthy industry that now wields enormous political influence on our public electeds who have forgotten their oath to serve the public and are serving the marijuana industry instead. The experience of children in the unincorporated community environments is not only critical in the first 5 years, but into young adulthood for their futures. Those of us who work to prevent drug abuse and addiction among them have been trying to counter the industry's messages of harmlessness, normalcy, and well-being. We should not have to do that. That's your job. The truth is that you have the data necessary to know what the industry is. It's just the evil twin of the tobacco industry. They relish the gift you have given them to allow them to peddle their drugs to communities without the political agency to oppose you. One unincorporated resident asked, what if the county decides next year growing poppies for heroin should be allowed? Given that a couple of newly elected supervisors collaborated with a marijuana lobbyist to write this ordinance, that question wasn't that far-fetched. Speaking as a public health practitioner, the silence on the part of your county public health department staff sets a new low bar for public health. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Our next caller is 6794. 6794. Please press star 6 to unmute.
This is Melissa Graham for the state of emergency and COVID restrictions in San Diego. We were told that the state of emergency originally was to implement safety measures to avoid overrunning our medical services facilities, and that's no longer a threat. And we were told to get vaccinated to end the COVID restrictions, and we were vaccinated. But now you're changing the goal. Please represent your people and not your legislatures and your board members. Your public wants you to fight for our freedom to return to normal operations for all businesses and for all schools and for all services. We trust that you will, and that you'll let all of our children and ensure that they will be able to receive education, and that's what our tax dollars pay for, regardless of our personal medical choices. And please end this affront to our freedom and stand for your citizens of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 9069.
I got nervous.
9069. Please press star 6 to unmute. 9069.
As we're waiting for that last caller, I do want to do a final call for Laura Douglas. Laura Douglas, who submitted a request to speak in person. If you're here, you can approach the podium. We'll go through the last couple of callers.
Our next caller is 1830. 1830. Please press star 6 to unmute. 1830. If you'd like to speak, please press star 6 to unmute. I'll recall 9069. 9069. If you'd like to speak, please press star 6 now to unmute. 9069. Last call for 1830. 1830. If you'd like to speak, please press star 6 to unmute.
Chair Fletcher, we're not seeing any movement from those callers. That appears to conclude non-agenda public communication this morning.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is approval of the board meeting minutes statement of proceedings for, bear with me for a second, the regular board meeting of May 18th, 2021, the Board of Supervisors group budget presentation of May 26th to 27th, the Air Pollution Control Board meeting of February 10th, the Flood Control District meeting of April 6th and April 7th, the Housing Authority meeting of April 7th, the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority meeting of May 18th and 21st, the Redevelopment Successor Agency meeting of January 12th, the San Diego County Fire Protection District meeting of April 6th, and the Sanitation District meeting May 19th. Is there a motion for approval of those minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Vargas, seconded by myself. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? We'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson?
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond?
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas?
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher?
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
We'll now proceed with the formation of the consent agenda. I'll ask our clerk first if there's any items the public wish to hold for discussion.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Item 2 has been pulled by the public. Item 3 has been pulled by the public. Item 4 has been pulled by the public. Item 10 has been pulled by the public. Item 11 has been pulled by the public. For item 14, I'll note that an errata has been distributed and posted online that amended the resolution and rules of procedure to add the newly formed San Diego County Fire Protection District to the list of special districts. With that noted, this item may remain on consent. Item 20 has been pulled by the public. Item 21 has been pulled by the public. And item 24 are closed session matters that will be considered at the conclusion of the board's public session. All the remaining items on the Board of Supervisors agenda may be placed on the consent calendar for your board's consideration.
Thank you. I'll next go to my colleague, Supervisor Anderson. Are there any items you wish pulled or comments you wish to make?
Item 16, please.
All right, item 16 has been pulled. Anything else, Supervisor Anderson?
Nope, I'm all squared away. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Lawson.
And, if you need a motion, I'm happy to make it.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Lawson Reamer. She is absent. Supervisor Desmond.
It sort of cut out Andrew's audio. So is it 2, 3, 4, and then 10, 11, 14, 16?
No, 14 is not pulled. So it is Supervisor Desmond. It's 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 16, 20, and 21.
16, 20, and 21. Okay, I guess I'd like to pull. Let me double check here. Item 14.
All right, item 14 has been.
And then I have a couple of comments on I have a comment on item 1 and item 15 that I wanted to make. On item 1, I realize this is an update to the code that we're required, mandated to by the state of California, but this is yet another unfunded mandate. I understand the state is creating grant opportunities to assist in backfilling some of these costs with about $65 million to distribute statewide. However, our county costs are about 10% of that total funded to be distributed statewide. So we may get a little bit, there's no way that we can be made whole. And I understand we have to do this, but it's yet another unfunded mandate from the state. The other item I wanted to make a comment on is item 15. This is the CMAR approval. This is, I'm in full support of the county to continue the use of the CMAR program. Program allows for the best teams to be selected for projects in a timely manner and reduces the overall project schedule. We've had 8 contracts using this program, and all were on time and on budget. 6 of those 18 are still underway with many issues moving forward, which is a big accomplishment, or without many issues moving forward, which is a big accomplishment. And we've used this program since 2015 with success. So I can't find a reason not to authorize its continued use. I think that is all I have. All the rest of the items are pulled. Thank you.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I am happy to second the motion, but I just want to make a comment on item number 6, just to say that I am really grateful that we're actually going to support this program, which is the authorized competitive solicitations for the Community Care Coordination Straight Home Program, because it really does focus on homelessness for individuals returning to or becoming homeless when they are renters in the community from county jails. And so I think this is a really important step for the county. And county staff has done a great job in trying to make sure that that we are focusing on likely the experiences of our homeless and overall our population. So I am really grateful that we're doing this. And then item number 13, I just want to share, that's particularly to my, focuses a lot on my district, and I want to make sure that I just say that I'm really excited that we have an opportunity to reinvest taxpayer money into our communities to benefit the public, especially supporting organizations like the Elementary Institute of Science. They were highly impacted by COVID-19 and not being able to take field trips. A lot of them were canceled. And so the fact that we're going to be able to invest again in these learning labs is so important, especially for STEM's, education in our communities. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Vargas. So we have a motion by Supervisor Anderson, seconded by Vice Chair Vargas for approval of the consent calendar. Before we call the roll, I just want to have the clerk confirm the issues we will be discussing. The items we will be discussing today are items 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 14, 16, 20, and 21. And if we can confirm that and call the roll.
That is correct, Chair Fletcher. Thank you. And with that, Supervisor Anderson?
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond?
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas?
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher?
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
So it is just after 10 o'clock. We're going to start our COVID update agenda item 2. We have to recess somewhere around 10:30, 10:40 to handle a couple business items. The board will then meet in a time certain closed session at noon. So when we break around 10:30, we will break until after the conclusion of closed session and come back and finish everything this afternoon. If we get through the COVID item, we will complete it. If not, we will get as far into the item as we can. We will then break and come back. So with that, let me turn it over to staff for their presentation, and then after that, we'll go to our public speakers.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher and members of the board. Today's presentation will feature our Public Health Officer, Dr. Wilma Wooten, who will provide a public health update. We will then be joined by Dr. Chuck Matthews, head of T3 Strategy, for an update on the vaccination efforts underway throughout the county, as well as an update on outreach, education, and community efforts. Finally, David Estrella, Director of Housing and Community Development Services, will provide an update on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. The fiscal update that is routinely provided in the COVID-19 update will be a separate agenda item. Without further ado, I'll welcome Dr. Wooten.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Chair Fletcher and members of the board. This slide shows the epidemiology curve for COVID-19 cases by onset of illness and provides a historical overview to date, including key milestones related to local and state actions, including local and state health officer orders and tier status. As noted, the state regional stay-at-home order was lifted on January 25th. Vaccinations are now over 3.78 million, and as a result, daily cases by illness onset have markedly declined. In a close-up view, from January 1st through June 6th, 2021, daily case counts by date reported have also continued to decline. In the 14-day period from May 24th through June 6th of this year, daily case counts by date of report primarily have been below 100, except for 4 days during this period, as noted on this slide. The next table provides a summary of cumulative cases with a breakdown by age, gender, hospitalization, ICU admissions, and deaths. These numbers are through 11:59 p.m. Sunday, June 6th, which shows a total of 280,807 positive COVID-19 cases reported. The age range of all cases is from 0 to 108 years of age, with a median age of 35 years. The 20 to 49-year-old age group continues to comprise just over 54% of all the total number of cases at 152,651. Gender distribution remains unchanged. Hospitalizations make up 5.5%, or 15,449 of the total cases. Of these hospitalizations, individuals over the age of 50 comprise approximately 74%, or 11,444 of the hospitalizations. Furthermore, 1,711 of those hospitalized have been admitted to the ICU. These numbers are also decreasing and make up approximately 0.6 of the total number of cases and 11.1% of the total number of those hospitalized. The total number of cases also includes 3,764 deaths, or 1.3% of all cases. The death rate is 112 per 100,000 population, which is the third lowest rate in Southern California. The age range for those who have died is 10 to 106 years of age, and the median age is 77. And all of our data and much, much more can be found on the county's www.coronavirus-sd.com website. Now, the triggers dashboard shown here monitors data by three important areas: epidemiology or surveillance, healthcare or hospital capacity, and public health or response. All 13 triggers on this dashboard now meet the threshold for each metric to be green or normal. At the last report, there was one trigger that exceeded its threshold, and this was community outbreaks, with greater than 7 outbreaks, where 9 outbreaks were reported in the 7-day period from May 31st through June 6th. Currently, there have been 4 outbreaks in this 7-day period reported, which is more extremely good news. Now, the state is currently operating on the Blueprint for a Safer Economy framework, which plans to move to beyond the blueprint on June 15th. Statewide transmission of COVID-19 is decreasing. Currently, through Sunday, June 6th, 0 counties were in the purple tier, which is widespread transmission. 4 counties were in the red tier, which is substantial transmission. 35 counties were in the orange tier, which is moderate transmission. And 19 counties were in the yellow tier, which is minimal transmission. The numbers will change today at noon. As we wait for the state to post this week's metrics, we are showing metrics based on calculations performed by county staff. For San Diego County, the unadjusted case rate for May 23rd through May 29th, after a 7-day lag, is 2.0, which is the orange tier. The adjusted case rate is 1.9, which is the yellow tier. Again, state metrics will be released publicly at noon today and may slightly vary. Movement to the yellow tier, which is the most lenient of the state's color-coded COVID-19 reopening blueprint system, clears the way for businesses to expand operations even more to levels not seen in more than a year. This allows greater capacity across a host of sectors, including restaurants, gyms, amusement parks, sports venues, family entertainment centers, and breweries. Anticipation of going to the yellow tier reflects the successful efforts San Diegans have made in the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking ahead, the tiered blueprint framework is set to be retired on June 15th. At that time, all sectors listed in the current blueprint activities and business tiers chart may return to usual operations with the limited expectations noted for mega events. There will be no facility capacity limitations and no physical distancing restrictions. Individuals will be required to follow current CDPH guidance for face coverings and follow CDC recommendations and CDPH travel advisory. The requirements and recommendations for negative testing and vaccine verification related to mega indoor and outdoor events will be in place effective June 15th through October 1st of this year. The state will assess conditions by September 1st to determine whether updated requirements or recommendations are needed beyond October 1st. These elements will be further discussed in more detail at the next board meeting on June 29th. Now, while the declining COVID-19 daily count is certainly great news, the detection of COVID-19 variants continues to be a public health threat and is being closely monitored. Notably, because San Diego County has been at the forefront of extensive collaborations with the local laboratory partners, San Diego has one of the highest number of whole genome sequencing conducted in the United States and the highest in California. 10 variants have been found in San Diego County. 5 are variants of concern as designated by the CDC, and 5 additional variants are categorized as variants of interest. The B117 or the UK variant is most reported and a variant of concern. As of Monday, June 6th, in San Diego County, 1,895 confirmed cases have been reported, which is 659 more cases than reported to your board 3 weeks ago. Of these total cases, there have been 29 hospitalizations, 4 additional since the last report to your board, and 2 deaths unchanged since the last report to your board. The median age is 31 years, and the age range is 0 to 93 years of age. The gender cases are evenly distributed. Regarding other variants of concern, 1,300 cases of the 2 West Coast variants, B1427 and B1429, have been reported. 278 cases of the Brazilian variant, or P1, have also been found. This is 151 more cases than last reported to your board. To date, 5 cases of the South African variant, or B1351, have been identified locally. There have been 5 variants of interest identified in San Diego as well. The number of cases of these variants are not being reported because they are not designated as variants of concern at this time. The variants of interest are 3 variants that were first identified in New York, and a variant identified in India, and there is also a second Brazil variant. Now, the next table summarizes post-vaccination COVID-19 infections among San Diego County residents. Cases who first tested positive greater than or equal to 14 days after receiving the second dose or the first dose of the J&J are counted as a post-infection or a post-vaccination infection. As a reminder, we expect to see a relatively small number of post-vaccination cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. While the COVID-19 vaccine is highly effective, no vaccine will prevent 100% of infections. Among the over 1.6 million San Diego residents who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, only 458 have been confirmed cases for post-vaccination infections. These cases represent 0.03% of the total number of cases. Among those 458 individuals with a post-vaccination infection, 4 have been hospitalized and 1 individual has unfortunately died. This is a small number compared to the 5,106 hospitalizations and the 1,204 deaths overall reported since January 1st of this year. Post-vaccination infections will continue to be monitored by public health staff. Now, a key tool in our response strategy is the continuation of the local emergency and the local health emergency, as these actions allow the county to continue to have flexibility to increase orders and regulations to protect life and property, to have the ability to waive certain local ordinances, regulations, or licensing requirements, to have the ability to waive certain procurement rules, the ability for funding mechanisms related to federal and state reimbursement for eligible costs, to have liability insurance under the state for disaster service workers, to have utilization of mutual aid, and to have health professionals and other local stakeholders have all the necessary tools at their disposal and implement successful recovery and building efforts. Finally, it is quite common to continue emergency proclamations and declarations in case the legal authorities are needed to continue response and recovery efforts. This is a standard practice in wildfires, earthquakes, and other disasters to ensure successful recovery and rebuilding efforts. In closing, as cases are declining, more people are being vaccinated and the county case count and rate are declining. We are near the end of the tunnel. We are optimistic that the worst of COVID-19 may now be in the rearview mirror. We continue to encourage all San Diegans to follow all preventive measures as recommended. Still wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask if you are sick, isolate at home, and get tested. Vaccinations continue to be an important tool in ending the pandemic and ensuring full economic recovery. Thank you to everyone for your continued vigilance to help San Diegans be COVID safe. Now, please welcome Dr. Chuck Matthews, lead of the T3 strategy.
Thank you, Dr. Wooten. Morning, everybody. Since our last presentation to this board, we have embarked on the June saturation efforts previously outlined. Through our Live Well mobile office and partnerships, we will host about 100 mobile vaccination events throughout the month of June. Many of the partners that we are collaborating with are offering special incentives like food and other giveaways. One of those partnerships is with the San Diego Padres, who are working with us to host 2 vaccination events at Petco Park this month. The first is coming this Saturday on June 12th, and the second is on June 26th. The first 1,000 people vaccinated at each of these Petco events gets a free commemorative t-shirt. In addition, anyone vaccinated at these 2 Petco Park events or one of our county mobile vaccination events is eligible to be entered into the drawing for the 2 Padre tickets. The qualifying mobile vaccination events are indicated on our online vaccination calendar. As previously announced, we continue to encourage youth and young adults to promote vaccinations by submitting videos and visual art to the Our Health is Worth a Shot challenge. Winners will receive gift cards from the San Diego County Credit Union with a grand prize of $1,200. Our community health worker partners through Project SAVE have also added information about these efforts to the crucial vaccination work they are doing in their communities. All of these efforts are on top of the state of California's Vax for the Win campaign, which is giving out over $116 million in rewards to vaccinated Californians. With the combination of these coordinated efforts, we are confident of reaching the county's goal of vaccinating 2.1 million San Diegans. As you can see, we are very close, with nearly 99% of those 12 and older receiving at least 1 first dose and nearly 80% fully vaccinated. It has been mentioned before that supply is no longer an issue. In fact, the state and the third-party administrator have also been shifting efforts in light of this new environment of robust supply. An online marketplace has been launched so providers can share surplus vaccine more easily, and the transition is underway to eventually allow providers the option to directly order vaccine. Changes at the state level include emphasizing and enhancing already robust network of medical providers and pharmacies with available vaccine. As the county amps up its efforts in June, residents can access more than 580 vaccination sites in the region, with nearly 430 of those being pharmacies or other providers. Looking ahead after June, we will be shifting toward a distribution model similar to flu vaccines. We will be scaling back vaccination efforts like mobile events and superstations to focus on our 6 public health centers or nearby sites. Individuals with a medical provider who still need a vaccine can contact their provider or obtain it from one of 226 participating pharmacies. If they do not have a provider, they can contact 211 to be connected to one. This in no way means we are ending our COVID vaccination efforts. We are staying committed to providing information and education through our sectors, supporting community and outreach teams like Project SAVE, and remaining focused on individuals who remain most hesitant about getting the vaccine. With that, I'd like to turn it over to David Estrella, Director of Housing and Community Development Services, for an update on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
Good morning. The county received 2 allocations to support low-income renters impacted by COVID-19. The county received a direct allocation of $48.8 million from the U.S. Department of the Treasury and $58.2 million from the state of California. The total amount available for the program is $107 million. Currently, the county has received over 14,800 applications that are eligible for review, representing $119 million in assistance requested. This figure assumes the state will allow 100% payment level for rent as proposed by the governor in his May revised announcement. All applications have been assigned out for review. As of June 3rd of this year, the county has awarded $12.8 million to over 3,600 households, and it's projected by the end of the week, $18 million will have been awarded. Although we have received $119 million in assistance requests, unfortunately, not all applications will be determined eligible. At this point, the county estimates that there is a significant amount of funds still available to be awarded. The county is continuing to do outreach and encourages all renters and landlords who may need assistance to apply as soon as possible. Thank you very much. I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Chuck Matthews.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Before presenting our recommendations to the board, it's important to provide a quick snapshot of the incident command priorities subsequent to June 15th and the state's retirement of the blueprint for a safer economy in the associated tier system. The incident command will remain at level 2 in order to sustain the necessary and equitable long-term pandemic-related response and recovery activities across the region. The county will shift its weekly COVID-19 update press conference to on-call or as required. We will also shift our daily COVID-19 public report to weekly. Finally, we will continue to provide a monthly COVID-19 update to the Board of Supervisors. In addition to receiving this update, we would recommend your board take any additional actions necessary to address the COVID-19 pandemic emergency response. Subject to your questions, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you. I want to thank the staff and team for the presentation. We are right at 10:30. What we're going to do is recess. We have a couple items that we have to handle. Then we have a time-certain closed session. We will reconvene at 1 p.m., time-certain reconvene at 1 p.m., and we will go directly into public comment on agenda item 2. Then we will go to board deliberation, and then we will carry on with the rest of our agenda. So we will see everyone back here at 1 p.m. Thank you.
The board is in recess at 12 noon. The board will recess into closed session. Consider those matters listed under item 24 on today's agenda. If there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out at the start of the planning and land use session of this meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. The board is in recess until 1 p.m. Thank you.